It's hard to believe it's been 45 years since Elvis died. I remember that day very clearly. I was just a kid at the time, coming up to my 11th birthday. Elvis was pronounced dead at 3:30 in the afternoon local time on Tuesday, August the 16th. That was 9:30 p.m. in England, where I was living at the time. Elvis's death was announced on the 10 o'clock news, and at first there was really nothing to report other than news coming in that Elvis Presley had died. And in the same news broadcast later on, the newscaster said, "We're not sure, we don't know if he's died or not." And as far as I recall, that was the state of affairs at the end of the program. And after the program, there was a further news flash saying that Elvis Presley had indeed died. Elvis must have made a big impression on me before that, because it was really big news. I can still remember it very clearly. And I also recall an incident that happened about a year before he died. I was playing out with my brothers and a friend from the neighborhood, and we were playing a war game, like boys do. And we were all choosing which famous person we wanted to be in the game. And I clearly remember saying, "I want to be Elvis Presley." So I must have seen Elvis perhaps in a movie, probably Jaya Blues, where he plays a soldier, because I had this image of him as being, a fighter or a military person or whatever. But yeah, I didn't have any records at the time, and of course there were no videos at the time, but I must have seen him and he'd made an impression on me. Meanwhile, here in Japan at 10 p.m. UK time was 6 a.m. on the Wednesday morning, August the 17th. And in this video, I'm going to show you a record that is very much related to Elvis Presley's death. Sort of a time capsule, if you like. And I just want you to play along with me for a couple of minutes as we go back in time and imagine a couple of days in the life of a Japanese businessman. Let's call him Kenji. So Kenji gets up on Wednesday, August the 17th, and he picks up his morning newspaper, and there's nothing in there about the death of Elvis Presley because the newspaper will have been published in the early hours of the morning. The TV's in the living room, so he's not watching television. He's in the kitchen with his wife, getting ready, busy as ever. So he leaves for work at about 7 o'clock in the morning. He lives way on the outskirts of town, a long way outside Tokyo. He works in the center of Tokyo. And he goes to work and he gets through the day and he still doesn't know anything about Elvis Presley's death. There's no internet. He's had no time to listen to the news or anything. So he gets home in the evening and he reads his evening newspaper, and he sees this headline here. You can see at the top there on this yellowing piece of newspaper, it says 8/17, that's August the 17th. And he sees the headline here, "Presley dies suddenly." And then it says, dies at 42 years old in his home of a heart attack. And he says, "Oh my goodness." And he gets this strange urge, like millions of other people around the world, to buy an Elvis Presley record. And that's exactly what he did the very next day. And I'm going to show you what he bought, and I'll tell you how I know he bought it on the very next day. All right, so I'll show you what he bought first of all. He bought this copy of Aloha from Hawaii. If you know a lot about Japanese LPs, you might be thinking, well, that's really strange because this is a 1973 pressing of Aloha from Hawaii, but Elvis died in 1977, and that's true. But if you look just up here, I'll put a close-up on screen in a minute, you can see that there's a small sticker there on the obi, 3,600 yen sticker over the top of the original price. There's also one on the back as well. So this album would have been repriced in the mid-1970s, and then it would have sat around in some shop for a couple of years before our friend Kenji bought it that day in August 1977. I'll just quickly show you what else you get with that album, or this album. It has this insert that came with all copies of that album. It's printed on both sides. Nice photo on the one side and the usual Japanese text and photos on the other. This one actually also comes with the rare lyric sheet. This lyric sheet only came with the last copies of the original copies of Aloha, because they didn't have time to print the lyrics on the original for the original album, because it was rush released. So how do I know when he bought that record? Well, the answer is because I've actually got his original receipt, which came with the record when I bought it. You can see there right in the middle, 18th of August 1977, and at the bottom there, the price, 3,600 yen. And at the top there, you can see the letters A and A. That's the name of the shop. The text, Japanese text beside it, says record shop. So record shop A&A. And the text just below that, you can see the telephone number on the right. That is the shop address, and it's in a place called Shinjuku in central Tokyo, one of the most, well, perhaps the busiest part of Tokyo. And so the record shop A&A, well, not only do I have the receipt there, but I actually also have the original bag that it came in, record shop A&A. The record is in really nice shape, and I don't think he played it very much, so he probably bought it, played it once or twice, put it in his closet, and then forgot all about it. And then nearly 45 years later, it ends up in the hands of a foreign collector, yours truly. So what do you think? In 45 years' time, will people still be talking about Elvis? Well, I won't be here, but let's hope that people are still talking about him. So enjoy the rest of the day, listen to some good Elvis music, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.